Across the world, and especially in Africa, Asia, South America, presidents and prime ministers are often blamed as the root of their nation's problems because of the policies and laws that affect their citizens. But many times, they are not the true source of the issue. The deeper influence often comes from powerful external forces operating beyond national borders.
Those who are the problems are the globalists who try to destroy those nations.
It's our responsibility to help build that world of peace, sustainable development, and human rights for all.
The climate crisis is a health crisis.
This small yet mysterious and elusive group formed shadow governments and plays the world and all of humanity, like gods playing chess.
And arrogate to themselves powers they were never given and pretend to be philanthropists or investors.
Is all that money from Gates influencing how the WHO operates?
Definitely. Bill Gates wields tremendous influence at the World Health Organization.
Many organizations portray themselves as philanthropic, but in reality, they quietly influence the actions of sovereign nations. Big names moving around with bigger amounts of money. Still, one thing is certain.
The gates of hell shall not prevail.
Deep states are non-state actors behind the scenes who try to control legitimate state actors, or sometimes state actors who use extra statutory powers to control the state. Often, it is for their personal agenda or benefit.
Which means God establishes a government, as it were, and you got some others who are trying to control the government that God has established in a nation, in a country. Incidentally, many state governments are that way. They are victims of state capture.
Truly effective vaccines, treatments, and diagnostics must be affordable and accessible to all.
Equitable and universal access to vaccination, treatment, and diagnostics.
On how to make vaccines, treatments, and diagnostics accessible to everyone.
COVID-19 research and development work on vaccines, diagnostics, therapeutics, and respiratory medicine.
To make sure that everyone has access to treatments, to vaccines, to a strong health system.
Better diagnostic and therapeutic medical supplies. We must also ensure that there is access to better treatment and care in the global quest for a vaccine.
Who are these compelling people to do things to kill themselves? Who are these? They said they only need 500 million people on Earth. The WHO is not a health organization. It is an anti-health organization.
Private foundations and non-governmental organizations have long partnered with the World Health Organization. The past 2 decades have seen an increase in collaboration. But when you actually follow the money, what you get to see about this increased involvement from public-private partnership-based organizations is quite concerning.
With Wellcome Trust, Rockefeller Foundation, and Gates Foundation, and the minor players like the Bloomberg Foundation and a couple others now, but mostly the top 3, suddenly we actually have the formation of what we called the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board. Well, who's sitting on that? Dr. Elias from the Gates Foundation. This is a criminal conspiracy.
Politico called him the World Health Organization doctor, that he had such influence that when he wanted a policy pushed, that the World Health Organization bureaucrats would oftentimes cave to his wishes. Well, here's an interesting tie. So Bill Gates, for the longest of times, wanted to have the World Health Organization declare coronavirus a pandemic. And the World Health Organization did not want to do that. So a day after Bill Gates, through his foundation, announced an infusion of $50 million into something called the Therapeutic Accelerator to help fight coronavirus and find a vaccine, much of that money to go toward the World Health Organization. One day after that announcement, the World Health Organization Secretary General came out and declared coronavirus a pandemic.
Look what happened from COVID. How many nations gave up so much? They pledged with their sovereign assets to pay for vaccines that never worked. Vaccines that were not vaccines.
During COVID-19, Pfizer secured vaccine deals with 9 Latin American countries: Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Mexico, Panama, Peru, and Uruguay. In negotiations with these countries, Pfizer requested additional indemnity against potential civil lawsuits that citizens might file in relation to its vaccines. Two major Latin American nations are missing from this list, Argentina and Brazil, because they have a story to tell.
Pfizer wanted Argentina to put, and listen to this, put its bank reserves, its military bases, and its embassy buildings at stake as collateral. Pfizer wanted Argentina to put its sovereignty at stake for what? Just to secure vaccines. Pfizer went a step ahead and asked Brazil to create a guarantee fund and deposit money in a foreign bank account. On the 23rd of January 2021, Brazil's health ministry put out this statement, citing excerpts from Pfizer's pre-contract clauses. These are Pfizer's demands. Look at this. Number one, Brazil waives the sovereignty of its assets abroad in favor of Pfizer.
9 Latin American and Caribbean countries struck deals with Pfizer for vaccines. What did they have to give up in exchange?
You've invested $10 billion in vaccinations over the last 2 decades, and you figured out the return on investment for that, and it kind of stunned me. Can you walk us through the math?
Over a 20-to-1 return. So if you just look at the economic benefits, that's a pretty strong number compared to anything else.
It is for their personal agenda or benefit. The gates of hell shall not prevail.
Another area where these shadow governments seek to exert control, under the guise of philanthropy, is food production. One example is the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA.
They pretend to help you with agriculture, you know, all of these things. It's one of the most dangerous organizations in any country.
It was established in 1967. It operates in more than 30 countries, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa. Its headquarters is located in Ibadan, Nigeria.
For how many years have they been there? And check, if you want to know if it's a good organization, check who the founder is. And check the purpose of its establishment. Who established it? And what was the person's idea on eugenics? Was he connected, was his organization connected to eugenics or not? It turns out, yes, for the IITA.
The IITA was founded by Ford Foundation and Rockefeller Foundation.
Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation in the 50s were concerned that if the issue of hunger in the third world wasn't addressed, then poor people in those countries would be ripe for communist subversion.
It is known, it's on the record, that the Rockefeller Foundation and others financed the American Eugenics Society and the records office at Cold Springs Harbor Laboratory in New York, which was the home base of the former uppercase eugenics in America. And when they did that, they cataloged millions of index cards on the bloodlines of ordinary Americans, and they tried to map inferior bloodlines and basically mark them for extinction.
Directly linked with eugenics. And if it is so, how can those who are the proponents of eugenics do anything to save your life?
The IITA is one of the 15 research centers within CGR and accounts for over 70% of its research activities in sub-Saharan Africa. Notably, one of CGIR's major donors is the Gates Foundation. The Gates Foundation supports the global adoption of genetically modified foods, which has contributed to a reduction in world population.
In IITA, we develop and deploy cutting-edge genomic tools, including innovative molecular breeding schemes, diagnostics, in vitro propagation, and genetic engineering to accelerate development of superior varieties.
We use the genetic germplasm material that's available to facilitate this process.
Bill Gates, the Rockefeller and Ford Foundations, and the World Bank control 10% of the world's germplasm, plasma of germ cells containing all the genetic material.
A very convenient tool called the substantial equivalence principle was cooked up to say, let's just treat genetically engineered organisms like conventional crops. Of course, they don't say that when they want to patent those same things. Then at that point, they say, these are novel, these are not natural. But when it comes to safety, they say, just like nature, exactly as nature made it. I sometimes call this ontological schizophrenia.
And as long as they've been there, food production has gone down. Infertility has risen. What is this? What are they doing? The gates of hell shall not prevail.
For he says, "By the strength of my hand I have done this, and by my wisdom, because I have understanding. I removed the boundaries of nations, I plundered their treasures. Like a mighty one I subdued their kings." Isaiah 10:13.
I removed the boundaries of nations. Why do you think many nations are going through this today? With the doctrine of replacement, in which they bring in other peoples to repopulate cities, repopulate nations. You're seeing that in Europe, in the United States. They actually want to do it all over the world.
It's a reality. It's been acknowledged many times that it is the policy of many of these people, at least the informal policy, to encourage immigration from certain places. I mean, they don't encourage it from other places. So you want to bring in people who are relatively uneducated from leftist countries who can be relied upon, they suppose, to bring those leftist patterns of thought and behavior with them.
Fentanyl crossing the border, drugs crossing the border, sex trafficking at the border. And I'll tell you, when I was a Secret Service agent, what people don't know is the same mules who are bringing drugs across the border are bringing counterfeit money. They're bringing weapons. They're bringing all kinds of contraband. These are not the people you want in the United States. You want people who want to be here and be part of this fabric of America.
Many cities' natives are now the minority. This was not an accident. The governments of Western Europe and Canada, New Zealand, and Australia did this on purpose. They opened their border for the Third World to move into their country. The native Dutch population is already becoming a minority. Amsterdam has 56% migrants, The Hague 58% migrants, Rotterdam 60% migrants. Let's look onward. London 54% migrants, Brussels 70% migrants.
In the Dutch city of Dordrecht, something interesting happened the other day. They announced, and this is a small city in the Netherlands, in my home country, that a new asylum center will be put in that little town. And what did the municipality do? They said, we are going to offer citizens who live in the vicinity of this center €1,000 to take extra safety measures. Our new reality in Europe consists of frequent rapes, stabbings, killings, murders, shootings, even beheadings. But let me be clear about one thing. This did not used to happen before. This is a newly imported problem.
After the massacre at a Buffalo supermarket that left 10 people dead, police said authorities were examining a 180-page manifesto that suspected gunman Peyton Gendron appears to have written and posted that outlined the so-called Great Replacement Theory.
You think about this race replacement theory that he talked about in this manifesto. There are people who are pushing this hatred on these young people, indoctrinating their minds to go out and commit violence.
This is a New York Times op-ed right here, literally titled, "We can replace them," in the New York Times. They are obsessed with this idea of using and abusing migrants for what they call demographic destiny.
It's about the Luciferian plan. So get the whole world in turmoil. Make the world a restless place. Trouble over here and trouble over there. So if you look at it, you understand what's happening. Whether it's in the schools, in the government, in the media, it doesn't matter. Who subdued them? The prince of Assyria. An evil principality of darkness was responsible in the realm of the spirit. In the name of the Lord Jesus, we cut off their influence. We cut off their dominion. They shall no longer have dominion over the governments. Their influence is gone. And now they shall be lightly esteemed. Their honor shall not continue. Because the Bible says, anyone who falls on this stone shall be broken. But on whomsoever it shall fall, it shall grind him to powder.
Yes.
Their global or globalist agenda is currently dead. The gates of hell shall not prevail.